afternoon, Tony Dattino, the founder and chairman of the USA Memory Championship. And I just wanted to cover a couple of things today. The exciting part is we're moving towards our 24th USA Memory Championship, which we will be doing at Full Sail University in Winter Park, Florida. And this year we are picking September 23rd to be at Full Sail and use their studio. They have been just great partners for us the last few years. We're getting thousands of hits on the YouTube that they created for us last year, and they've just been wonderful to work with and get our video out to bigger audiences so we get more and more people interested in the competition, which we are getting more and more people interested in the competition, and that's exciting. It's hard to believe we've been at this for 24 years and we're still looking to expand and get more people interested, and that actually was helped by COVID, as I'm sorry to say. COVID inhibited our ability to do qualifying rounds in person with people in auditoriums or in conference rooms, so we went to virtual. And in the virtual events, we were able to get Lumosity to use several of their games that they put out on their website, and then we were able to get the Art of Memory folks involved with their colleagues and with their online. And so in the combination of the two, we're able to do a online virtual memory competition for qualifiers. And the last few years, we've had hundreds of people who have signed up, and what we've done is taken the top 12 scores from those events, and we've brought them to Florida for them to compete to see who has got the best memory in the United States. So that has been working out, and the next question that comes, so there's some information on that, and the virtual is, normally we'll do on a Saturday, and we have our friend from Australia that just gets up at a crazy hour of the day and helps us get through that. But we've done it in the last 2 years, and it's worked out very well. But now the question that comes is, well, how do I train for this? You know, in our final event, which I think is an important part. Obviously, if you want to be a memory champion, you have to be able to get on a stage, which we do in Full Sail, and you have to be able to remember a list of words. And we're in the near the 100 mark, and people use the loci or Roman room method to be able to practice and study as we give them a list of 200 words in 15 minutes to study it. In our Maximum Memory online course, there's a skill called the Roman room / loci method, location. Loci comes from location. And people can take that course and take that module and learn and practice and develop their own Roman rooms, meaning rooms within a house, or rooms or a journey they talk about, a journey that they walk through. We've had people use the different lands of Disney for their journey, and they walk down Main Street, and they walk to Tomorrowland, and they walk to Fantasyland, and they use the different rides or significant attractions in the Disney park to lock in and link information to it. And so when they see a picture of Mickey, boom, a word may pop into their mind. They've made a story up. They go down and they see a building with Walt Disney's picture in it. They have another word, and so bam, the picture of Walt Disney invokes another word to it. And so it's one of the methods. Now, in the same method of a journey, instead of walking down the street, you can walk around the rooms of a house, and you can look at pictures and doorways and light switches and things that are along the walls of the house, and use those. So we call that the loci method, but one of the first events of the competition is, how many of 200 words can you remember? And we're up into the hundreds now, so if you want to be a qualifier to get past that event, there's probably, you've got to shoot for at least 100 words that you need to be able to remember before we eliminate people from that very first event. So it's a head-to-head competition, and we eliminate people from that first event. Another event that we have is the Tea Party. We call it a Tea Party. In 3 strikes, you're not in the party, or you're invited out of the party. And we have a module in our online course that is all about names and faces. So how does one remember the names and faces and people that they meet, people that they're going to see? So we give them 5 people that get up and introduce themselves and talk about their favorite hobbies, maybe a pet, an address. We certainly give phone numbers out, so people have to use a diversity of skills. So they have to use lists, they have to use numbers, they have to use the name of the person, their face and face. So they're integrating a series of mental skills that demonstrate a broader spectrum of their skill level and what they're able to do in competing in the memory competition. And so we have 5 people pre-recorded that go through a script that basically gives the data out. We give them a mind map to study, and therefore they then take the mind map and the introduction they've had. They have to recall as much of this information. We bring people back out, and they start the mental athletes start to give the information back out on an individual tea party guests that we invite. So within, again, the maximum memory mastery, there's 2 sections in there. One is on mind mapping, so you're studying how to look and use a mind map, and the second is how do you remember people's names and faces. So it's a combination of that. And the third is strings of numbers. So what techniques would you use to remember a string of numbers? So again, maximum memory mastery is the teachings for how you might be able to do the events of the names and faces, the list, the mind mapping, the words, and the numbers. And then from there, we go into an event called long-term memory, and we may be resequencing that this year, but there's long-term memory. We want to be able to demonstrate to people the ability, not only can you do this in the immediate, spontaneous, short-term, I poured in this data and now I can play it back, but what about information you've learned 30 days ago? So we pick various topics for the mental athletes to remember, and we give them that information 30 days in advance, and they have those days to retain as much of that information as possible. So last year we used wrestlers of the WWE, we used space shots of the NASA space program here in Cape Kennedy, Florida, and we used, now I got to remember what the third one was. Oh my goodness, a brain blank here. We had 3 categories that we utilized last year, and therefore they had to retain and recall that information in the form. Fortune 50 companies. What were Fortune 50 companies, and what was information relative to corporate America and their locations and products and things of that sort. So they get the 30 days, and then we put them back on stage, and we have a random selection of questions that they have to go through. And our home audience can play with that as well. So as people watch this at home, they can play along because they see the people, and they may see the questions that we have, that we ask, and they can see if they know anything about the 50 top corporations in America, or anything about wrestling, or anything about space programs, and who went to the moon first, and what space shots got to this planet, and things of that sort. So we make it interesting and make topics. But here again, through the online training program, we have the different skills that if people are practicing, then they will be able to perform well. But we eliminate people in that event. And then the last event of our competition is what we call double deck or bust. It's 2 decks of cards. And those 2 decks of cards, they have 5 minutes to remember the order of those cards. And then we go through counting off the, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and whoever remembers the most number of cards in that competition and lasts through the head-to-head becomes our USA Memory Champion. And there, once again, in the USA Memory website and the online Maximum Memory Mastery course, we teach people how they can remember an order of a deck of cards. So the training material is there. We've learned that from 24 years of doing this, and Michael Dattino has done a fantastic job of taking our lessons learned in 23 years and consolidating it into an online course that people can utilize in preparation and practice if they are serious about wanting to be a mental athlete and enter the USA Memory Competition. So we're making progress. We're moving along. As you can still see, I am still in New York. I hope to get back to Florida come Monday of next week, though we'll see how all that works out. And I still see you again here on Friday. So have a good rest of the week. And tomorrow we start the NCAA basketball tournament again with the Thursday, Friday games. So by the time I see you on Friday, we'll see who else has won on Thursday.